This is our fourth session, 12th of March, 6 o'clock. So tonight we are doing ice. As per the announcement that went out earlier, at this point, the recording is running, but I am the only person in the session. I did have communication from Cameron. He's out of town. Bradley had connection issues. I would really like to hear from our other students. We've got Claudia, we've got Simone, Kate, we've met on session 3, and then there's Cameron and Bradley who normally attend. So I'm going to give it a few minutes. Let's wait it out. This evening is an important one because it's ice, and the plan is that people do an individual presentation. See, there's Kate. Welcome, Kate.
Good evening. How are you, Doc?
Well, and you?
Good, thank you.
Fantastic. Kate, you received the announcement on this evening's ice.
Yes.
Wonderful. I've had word from Cameron. He is not able to join, and then Bradley is just battling with his connection. So, Kate, let's give it a minute.
All right.
And then we want to fall in. Are you going to share something? You want to share something to screen when you present?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, it should work. I see Bradley is in. Hey, Brad.
How's the doctor? Sorry, I'm in Pretoria. So
Oh,
I just had a little bit of an issue with the Wi-Fi.
I see. You stay in Joburg.
Yeah. I'm just staying over by my girlfriend now.
All right, welcome to this side of the Boerewors curtain, my friend.
I've been here 3 years already before, so
It's interesting how Pretoria has a completely different vibe than Joburg, eh?
yeah, it's completely different. My dad always said that he wants to move here.
Ja, no, Pretoria is rustig compared to Joburg. Okay, guys, so I know that we had the two of you plus Cameron in class so far. I haven't had word from your peers, Claudia and Simone. So we're holding thumbs that they will join our sessions shortly. So just quickly on ice, when we say ice, I just quickly want to reiterate my view on ice. We have to give you guys at least 6 opportunities to earn an ice mark, or they encourage us to give you 6 opportunities so that you can log your 4 ice marks towards the 10%. My perspective on ice is that I don't want to use it to penalize students. I don't want anyone to lose out on that 10%. I've often seen that the 10% ice can put you in a higher mark band. It can take you from a 68 to a 70 or whatever the case may be. So ice is not there to penalize people. It's there to stimulate your thinking, to help you grow academically and so on. And then thereby you can earn potentially your 10% of your weighted aggregate mark. When people, for some reason, are not able to make ice when we do it in class, I will make provision for an alternative. So no one will be in that respect be in a bad position. I think I might make it a bit more difficult for you to earn the ice mark in the alternative fashion. So first prize would be if we do ice in class, and I warn you before I do something, it can be a class discussion, it can be an individual presentation like this evening, and your attendance then earns you the ice mark. So you guys, after this evening, you'll have your ice mark. Remember then, As we approach the ICE closing date, I will announce that, communicate it clearly. There will come a time when ICE a deadline comes up. Every year I have students that asks me after the deadline, listen, I've missed some ICE tasks, or I missed all the ICE tasks. Can I do something? And the answer is then pretty straightforward. You can't. Then that ship has sailed. So there's a very specific ICE deadline. I will warn you guys in advance. And then, of course, that's the end of the story. Then you don't have an opportunity to catch up on that. But let's jump into this evening. Kate, you are on first. I'm going to allow you. You should be able to share and present. I think the meeting is set up like that. And then we take it from there. And Brad and I am going to listen to you. We're going to mute our mics and listen to what you have to say. Thank you, Kate. The floor is yours.
Not sure if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can. Thank you. I see your slide.
Oh, all right. Good evening,
100%.
everyone. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. So, we are talking about the role of social entrepreneurship in addressing global challenges. So, in my case, I'm going to talk about bridging the AI and technical skill gap in Africa. So I'm talking about Africa as a whole. And so I've noticed that the AI is one of the current things which are just populating the nations, and it's one of the things that we use, be it businesses and everywhere else. So I'm just going to focus on that. And so in my introduction, I'm going to talk about the social entrepreneurship, which plays a vital role in solving the global challenges by combining business innovation with social impact. And so one of the major challenges also facing Africa today is the technical skill gap. So I'm also going to base my presentation on that, particularly the artificial intelligence and the computer-based learning. And so Africa faces AI and digital skill gap. That is, it will cause a risk of economic exclusion as well. And then the social enterprise model that bridges the gap through partnership with tech giants like Google and Microsoft. They can create a sustainable solution by offering affordable and accessible AI training programs. So what I saw is that Africa as a whole, we are lacking. There's a gap in terms of that particular skill of artificial intelligence. And when I look, I saw that a lot of industry, they are looking into hiring or using those robotic machines into doing their jobs and so forth. And then we as Africans as a whole, I'm not talking about South Africa, but I'm talking about other African countries which are lacking that skill. So it becomes difficult to be able to get into those particular industries because of the skills are not there, and therefore it's a challenge for the country, or let me just say Africa, because at the same time we are not even able to compete with the developed countries that that are ahead with technology and fourth industrial revolution. So that is the skill that we want to bridge. I don't know if there are questions. Let me just continue. And then after that, I just look at the statistics and challenges. It's in understanding the skill gap in Africa. I've noticed that only 2% of AI research and workforce in there's only 2% of AI research and workforce in Africa, and then 60% of Africa's population is under 25, yet AI training is very scarce. And then the barriers are that we've got limited access to quality education and internet, outdated curriculum lacking and AI coding, high cost of AI training. So these are the some of the challenges that we have for us to bridge the gap. And so as we move on here, the solution. Why social enterprise? So if you look at this, we've got mission-driven but sustainable business models. And then in our solution, I wrote that we can partner with big tech and Google, Microsoft, IBM in order for them to be training those those people which are underprivileged, those who don't have enough to be trained, because at the same time, it will be covering the social entrepreneur gap. And so we can also have scalable impact, which is the low cost on AI training and job placement. So when people are done being trained in those by those big companies, the Microsoft and Google, they can be placed in some jobs, and that will fulfill the part of the social entrepreneur. And then example here, we know Andela, the company in Nigeria, which has trained over 175,000 African developers. So they did the training in 2021, and I feel that they have fulfilled that particular gap which is needed, although it's not enough. But then I believe that trainings like that, they can solve the problem that we have, the social entrepreneur. And then as we move on, the funding sources could be that our corporate social responsibility, Google and Microsoft, they can come in as part of the training. And then also the Grants African Development Bank, the paid corporate AI training for sustainability, practical application of the social enterprise of learning, offline learning centers for rural areas. So this could be the funding sources for our business model and scalability. And then some challenges that we might have and solution could be that in those remote areas, we could have the low internet access, and therefore in bringing solutions, maybe we can look into offline learning kits and things like that. And also funding gaps of corporate social responsibility, impact investors grants. So investors also can come into the part of funding, and they can bridge that gap. And then low awareness AI education campaigns. So I believe that these are the challenges and solutions that we might have. And so in my conclusion, I'm going to say that the social entrepreneurship is a powerful tool for AI skill development, because in that way, it will make a lot of people, especially in Africa, to be trained and know how to use AI. And then in terms of these industries, which are manufacturing cars and what, so they will be knowing how to use the AI. As much as AI is coming in, I don't think it wants to replace everything that is there. The issue here is to know how to use those robotics and what, so, and also the public-private partnership with companies like tech companies plus NGOs and governments, they are very crucial. So if we can partner with all of this, it will make a difference. And then also, Africa must invest in the AI skills now to compete globally, because we don't want to be in the situation where economically we can't, it disadvantages economically simply because we can't compete with those countries which are rich in this or they are ahead of technology and the fourth industrial revolution. I don't know. This is the presentation I've prepared. I don't know if you guys understand, but if you have questions, you can go ahead. And thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. And then I also put the referencing. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. That was interesting. So, Brad, any questions that you want to put to Kate? Anything you want to add, ask her to elaborate on, explain?
I don't think so. I think she was quite in depth with everything. I didn't really actually find any questions that I needed to ask her.
No, 100%.
Hmm.
Kate, I want to ask you, and I like the whole central to your message is that Africa should invest in AI skills to compete globally, and that there's a concern that in a sense we are lagging behind the first world when it comes to adopting AI technology. I want to ask you a very real question. As a bit of a devil's advocate here, do you think the Africa mentality is in the right place to adopt this, to aggressively adopt AI? Do you think there's a concern, Kate, that AI might replace people, that AI might rob people of their jobs, that unemployment might follow? Do you think the sentiment is there that there's perhaps a bit of a reluctance to do this because of that fear? Discuss with me, what did you encounter in your research regarding the role that AI might take in terms of creating wider unemployment, which as it is in the African context is already problematic, right?
I think that every time when something new comes into existence, we are, as people, we are, what's the word? We are, I want to say, we are resistant to the change. But I don't think AI is here to take people's jobs, because at first I was thinking that AI could be maybe the reason where, I mean, the reason maybe that people maybe in the future would not. Let me just give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, in the academic institution, right? We are encouraged to use the AI, and in my understanding, I don't think that AI can do anything that we have not trained it to do. So, in a way, I still believe that human beings, they are still relevant, and it will not create unemployment. Of course, when something new comes into existence, we are very resistant and we ask a lot of questions. But I guess in understanding all of this, it will make sense at a later stage. Yes, we are creating so many things with AI. Maybe in fact, I would say it's relevant maybe for certain industries, maybe the car industries, but I still feel that we are human beings are still relevant. I don't think it will shift the factor of human beings at all. We will still be relevant, and at the moment, I know that a lot of people are resistant, yes, to this idea of AI, because people feel that sooner or later the robots will have to do our job and all that. But then I guess we are still relevant because we are the ones with the mind and everything else. We just have to train it to do what it needs to do. That's it. It's just limited, I think, to a certain extent. That's my idea. That's my take on that. I don't think in a way AI will create unemployment in a way. I still think that as human beings, we are still relevant to do what we are supposed to be doing. But
Yeah.
when we use it, then we will get where we want to go.
Thanks for
So
that.
I,
Brad, is that a hand? Yes,
yeah,
the
yeah,
floor
yeah.
is yours.
So I mean, I do understand why Kate would say that you can't really beat a human mind, but I think if you look at it in an entrepreneur's way, AI, robotics, all of these things, it's more difficult for AI to mess up than a human being. we always talk about human error, this, human error, that. A robot, obviously it can make an error, but it's less likely to. And as well, a robot can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. When a human needs, it's 8 hours sleep, 1 hour break. So I think robots and AI specifically are going to take humans for a ride in about 10 years' time, maybe even less. I do think AI is going to come quite quickly. I mean, at work now, we've got big label machines that previously, about 10, 15 years ago, you needed 4 or 5 guys working on it. Now you just have one operator, you push a button. All you have to do is set everything up, you push a button, and it just runs. And it'll run about 1,000 kilometers worth of material in about 25 minutes. Where 10, 15 years ago, you had to use smaller rolls. You had one guy put it on, one guy take it off, one guy setting up, one guy starting and stopping. So I think as technology grows, I think the AI will absolutely destroy our manufacturing side. And then also cashiers as well. I mean, ShopRite has a shop called Unique. It's like a basic clothing line and clothing shop. So it's a retail shop.
Like Pick and Pay clothing.
Yes, exactly that. So ShopRite has this initiative where all their stock is labeled with an RFID tag, and there's no cashiers. You just put your stuff past a gateway in a bag, and it charges you on the card machine. You tap your card, and then shop, you sorted.
There's a
So I
payment
do,
gateway and so on.
yeah, I do think it's quite hectic. It's quite scary to think about.
Yeah, it is scary, especially if you say like 10 years. 10 years is nothing. Kate, you're
Yeah.
welcome to respond to Brad. Thanks, Brad.
Yes, Brett. Thank you so much for the comment. It's relevant. What you're saying is totally true. It is scary, yes, I agree. However, I also believe that it will be relevant for certain jobs and not all the jobs. I don't think that AI will be relevant as a social worker to give somebody advice and what. I don't know, Doc, but then I think it will be relevant for certain things which in the industry which are being done by like routine jobs. I think that will be relevant, but for mind jobs, I am not really sure.
Listen, it's such an interesting discussion, guys, and it's going in such an interesting direction. I'm going to share my 2 cents now, Brad.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, like you said, it does depend on the industry. Oh no, man, I forgot what I wanted to say now. It was something so interesting. So
You were
just
saying you guys decided to keep the big black Labrador instead of the other dog. Oh, sorry, you weren't saying that.
Sorry, Kate, can you please just say the last bit of your argument
Oh,
there? Sorry.
yes, I was saying that I don't think it can work with the mind jobs. Yes, the
Oh,
routine job.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if you're talking about a mind job, do you think as a software developer will be a mind job where you need to have the knowledge and uh the maths behind it, the problem solving behind it to then make great websites, create apps and all of that stuff?
Yeah, I think no. I wow, Brad.
No, because the reason why I'm asking is that last year, or it could have been end of 2023, there was a AI bot that was created called Devin. And if you ask Devin anything about coding, so Devin is your own personal software developer in your pocket. You pay about £50, 50 to £100 a month, and you've got your own personal software developer that you can tell it what to create, when to create it, how complex you want it, and it will create it for you in probably about 10 minutes. You have to give it some time. It won't be as quick as all these AI tools, but it will create it in 10 minutes. And you can even tell it to go to, there's a thing called, I think it's Firestone, that Google Google uses as a free web hosting company. And you can tell it to then host it on Firestone with a specific domain. It will then buy the domain for you. You just give it your card details. It will buy it for you, and you've got a full-blown website or app running in 20 minutes. So that's, I mean, I would consider software developing a heavy-minded, heavy knowledgeable career. And I think that's just going to destroy these developers.
And then what about, can you also tell it to cancel somebody who is in an emotional, maybe somebody who needs an emotional counseling? I guess maybe those type of jobs will need human beings because they have feelings, but that machine does not have feelings enough to reach out to you as a person. But then it will just tell you the theory, whereas a professional social worker or psychology will be able to help you solve the problems that you have. So you are right when you talk about the software developer. I think it can do, but in terms of other, I I doubt. But anyway,
So
thank you so much.
yeah, I think there's already guys in America that have developed a counseling tool that's a Google extension. And you can ask it a question. And what they've done is they've made it more empathetic and more sympathetic to yourself. So you can tell it how you are as a person, your age, your gender, and it will streamline its responses to your personality and your being. And yeah, I think that's also it's very scary. And I mean, even Discam as well. Discam in their medical insurance that they have. So obviously you get medical aid and medical insurance and hospital plans. Their medical insurance, you can go to a Discam. Obviously, it has to be one of the newer ones that are built. You can go to a Discam and say, listen, I need like a little therapy session or something. They'll take you into a room where there's a TV and you can literally chat to this TV and there will be an AI generated person on the TV talking to you. And you can ask it its questions, you can ask this, you can ask that. So in that case, I do see how it can help. I do agree with you that the emotional side of it might be tough, but I think they're developing that fast, far and wide, very quickly. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you that the emotional side is very human. And I don't think an AI can be as human as a human itself. But I think it's coming very close. And I think, yeah, it's going to be a very bad time for our kids to get jobs.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your contributions, Kate. I like the way you handled it. I like the research you did, the references you used. So just a couple of things from my side. There's a lot of things that you hear. I think I know AI is here to stay, and it's unstoppable. So there's perhaps something of not being caught on the back foot, if I can say it like that, and then rather than uh, having AI mess up things and take jobs, rather to partner with or to engage or to embrace and see how one could use AI. Someone said this, I think, over elementary statement where they say AI is not going to take jobs of people. AI is going to take jobs from people who don't engage with AI. So how can it make our work better and so on? I think there's another interesting trend that we see in our coaching and consulting side of things, where there's a massively big problem with digital consumption. I think you guys would agree with me that our digital consumption is too much, and we know it. And it's almost as if we are trapped in this thing where we know there's too much screen time. There's a trend now. One of my students a couple of years ago did an honors dissertation on technology fatigue. Now, the story there was that people tend to embrace technology with great joy, and there's a vibe, and it's lekker. And then there's a feeling of despondence creeping in, where technology actually makes us tired and irritates the hell out of us. Have you guys felt on some days that if your phone beeps one more time, you're gonna gooi it against the wall? Where we
100%.
where we feel, yeah, can we get rid of technology is intrusive. So what we're seeing is there's also a return of people, and I think that's where you feel strong, Kate. Where people are social beings, there's a return to the earth, the natural. The people buy leather goods. People flock to Clarence and Dullstroom over weekends to be in touch again with the real stuff. It's almost as if living this in a very artificial world. We also see that companies, more and more companies, are removing the perks of working from home. So after COVID, a lot of people that gave up office space, and companies are starting to call people back to come into office, because the whole issue of people as social beings, there's a lack of team cohesion when people don't see each other face to face, when they're not in proximity, when you cannot put your hand on a shoulder of a subordinate that needs encouragement, when you cannot read, you're sitting in a meeting, there's an engineer that has a contribution, but in an online space, this person is hiding, but has a massive contribution to make. So the company say, I want you here, we're going to do a physical meeting, and I'm going to read your body language, and you're going to make a contribution. Something else interesting, guys, is my wife's a medical doctor, so we work a lot with that. Some of the medical disciplines can completely go AI. Something like radiology, they say they can replace that tomorrow. With the data set they have, the AI radiologist can do probably a better job than any breathing, living radiologist doctor can. Interesting, though, if you look at medicine provision, a lot of that, my wife often tells me, people come for a plaster and a pill and an injection, but a lot of people actually come for the human contact, come for the compassion, the genuine care, there might be an underlying psychological problem. There's a lot of people that suffers from psychological conditions such as depression and so on, which then manifests in physical conditions. It's an interesting discussion, right? So in that respect, I think it's not a question as if AI can or cannot do it. I completely agree with you, Brad. AI can do it. It's a question of whether people, after they go through the hype, will maybe return to good old human relationships. And of course, there's people, the techno wizards, pushing this. And I think we will go to a place where we don't necessarily want to go. I think, as with all things, the hype pendulum will swing toward the extreme, and then the pendulum will probably settle somewhere in the middle again when the hype is over and people see, listen, we are still people. That's my take on it. But thank you very much. Your discussion led us to some thought-provoking discussion and ideas. Kate, Brad, floor is yours. You can gooi your presentation.
I'm gonna set it up now. So I'm just trying to close these things here. Oh, there. So I just have to change my security and privacy settings here.
No worries.
Yeah, I might leave and then join. It just says I must quit and reopen because of the privacy settings. Yeah, sorry.
Sure, do that.
Come now. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Indeed.
Okay, cool. So
It's up. Yep.
yeah, I just thought I'd do this in Word, and I just saved it as a PDF. So I was going to present it as
Yes.
a PDF if that's okay.
Yes.
Sure, just the role of social entrepreneurship in addressing global challenges. I didn't really go into depth in global. I kind of wanted to keep it more South African, more local, um, and whatnot. But yeah, I think the first thing that I really wanted to get into was what was social entrepreneurship, because obviously you can think what it is, but then you kind of have to go a little bit more in depth to understand it better. So this was something that I did put together. I do have, if you are wondering, I do have references at the bottom, yeah. But yeah, so pretty much social entrepreneurship merges business acumen with a mission to tackle societal issues, prioritizing impact over profit. And the first company that I thought of when I thought about prioritizing impact over profit was KFC. So if I go down to KFC over here, which is one of South Africa's biggest fast food chains, uses 2 Rand donations from their millions of clients per day to feed kids in rural areas, maintain rural school infrastructure, and host sports and fun days for the kids in underdeveloped areas. So that's obviously the Ad Hope campaign that they use. If there's just one issue that I found with this is you never really see if they're using the 2 Rands properly, or where they're using it. You kind of just have to go off your research and go off your gut feeling. But I have seen a lot of social media outbreaks saying that people haven't seen the benefits, and why am I giving 2 Rands to KFC? They're million, tens of million rands net worth South African company. As I dug deeper, you can actually see where they use it. Um, and yeah, I think it's actually a very good initiative, especially with I mean, 2 Rand to a lot of people isn't much, but to the rural people, and getting those 10,000 2 Rand donations, I mean, 20,000 Rand can go a long way. So as well, by innovating sustainable solutions, social entrepreneurs address global challenges such as poverty, inequality, climate change, healthcare access, education gaps, and unemployment. I think in South Africa, a lot of the times unemployment and poverty is a driving force for becoming an entrepreneur and opening up a company. Obviously, profit is at the back of someone's head or it's in the front of their head. But I do think as if I wanted to start a company, I'd like to uh, participate in community development and participate in donating to NGOs. Yeah, I think that's also a big aspect of social entrepreneurs. So, out of the big companies that I found in South Africa, so what they can do as a role is innovate solutions to complex problems. In South Africa, we have a lot of complex problems, and we don't have the means to fix our issues because of it's generally money. But I do think a social and community impact is an issue. But when I talk about Sasol, who's obviously in energy and chemicals, specifically petrol, as we know, petroleum. So their innovation was obviously, as it says, they're an integrated chemicals and energy company, and they've innovated solutions for producing fuels and chemicals from coal and natural gas. Obviously, South Africa is a huge coal producer. We also export a huge amount of coal, which we shouldn't actually, because we don't have electricity, but it would be nice to keep some coal. But yeah, they are investing in sustainable technologies such as green hydrogen. Hydrogen can be very expensive, but through my research, Sasol is one of the cheapest hydrogen producers in the world, which is obviously very good for foreign investors in South Africa. And through the foreign investors, we can then create more and more jobs and try and bridge the poverty and inequality gap. Uh, another Another one that I've found, so I've actually used this, and I'm pretty sure Kate will know these card machine guys like Yoko and Ikoka, and now Capitec is also one of the uh, card machine merchants. So they made it very easy for people uh, to go to markets and receive payments without cash. Obviously, we know cash is king, tax-free, all nice and beautiful, but you have to operate your company with digital money. And Yoko made that super, super, super easy for the thrift stores of today, for the bakeries like Kate's. Made it super, super easy for very, very small companies to grow their businesses, to receive payments. I mean, even with Yoko, yes, they have card payment solutions, but they also have their own software that you can send a link to someone as a payment gateway, and then they can pay you directly as an EFT without sending banking details where there could be human error, where you can accidentally type in the incorrect account number, etc., etc. So they've made it very easy for companies to grow financially. Then within the finance and banking sector as well, Time Bank. I could say Capitec as well, but I'm trying to use Time Bank as a smaller company. They've they've actually created one of the easiest banking systems I've ever seen, and I've actually used them because I'm a big bank lover. So I actually had, for some odd reason, when I was 18, I wanted to open up a bank account at every single bank because I thought it was cool. Obviously finding out that I was being a little bit stupid, but currently with Nedbank and then Time Bank as well. Because Time it's, as you can see, low cost. So I use Time Bank as a business account. There's no fees, there's no monthly fees, there's no card swap fees. The only fees that you pay are the statement fees, and not really are you going to look at your statements printed at a ATM. These guys use these portable ATMs that they can take anywhere. So you don't have to really try find one all the time. They've got plenty in South Africa. I don't know in Pretoria, I don't know how many there are, yeah, but in the East Rand, there's quite a few where every single shopping center has a Time Bank ATM because it's mobile and it won't always stay in a specific place all the time. So they've been able to lower their costs and create a broader spectrum of people to bank with them. Um, then obviously just a few examples of community development for me was obviously KFC with the ad hope. Then a key player in my industry is Universal Labels, which is it's a huge, huge, huge labels and packaging company. They're actually one of our suppliers, and we actually supply them as well with certain materials. But they have an innovation called Universal Cares, and I actually went with them the one time. And yeah, they pretty much go to squatter camps around the area, specifically in Midrand where they're based. So it's a lot of Joburg and outer Joburg to then yeah, to food drives and clothing drives. So when you buy something from Universal, they actually say like 2 to 5%, depending on the order, will go to, and that's 2 to 5% of the profits, and not of the full amount, will go to a donation, which is it's absolutely brilliant because this is also a reason why they're so popular in the labels game, is because they are doing social development. I wish I could do that on my side, but obviously it's the director's point of view. But I do think just because they have that drive, they will get the sunlights to buy from them. They will get the uh, Ace pup to buy from them. They'll get they'll get all of these food products that can then say they buy their stuff from Universal Labels because they want to engage in social development. So I think that's a huge plus for them. Obviously, challenge faced is funding. So obviously, it's very expensive to donate to charities if you don't have the money. Um, especially especially if you're a smaller company and you'd want to do your best to donate somewhere. I think funding is a huge, huge, huge problem. Obviously, scaling, that's also in accordance with funding. You can't scale your business without money. So I do think you have to find a good balance with that. And in the balance, there's balancing missions, which is maintaining your social goals while achieving financial viability. So you can't go to a squatter and go give them R1 million when you have your people to pay, you have your rent to pay, you have your water to pay, you have your investors and your stakeholders to pay. So I do think there are a few challenges that just need some time to be thought about. Then obviously policy barriers, navigating bureaucratic hurdles, and advocating for support legal frameworks. I do think, unfortunately, but fortunately at the same time, I think people, huge companies do like to donate to charities for the tax benefits, which I don't agree with, but I can understand why they're doing it. So I think maybe ensuring that it's not just for tax benefits. I think that'll also help them get donations. And then just as a conclusion, I'm just going to read this out because it is a very it's a very good conclusion in my opinion. So social entrepreneurship is a dynamic force in addressing global challenges, combining innovation, sustainability, and community empowerment. Community empowerment is very big for me during this presentation. As technology and global connectivity grows, social enterprises are posed to scale their impact, fostering a more equitable and resilient world, and collaboration across sectors remains vital to amplify their transformative potential. So, yeah, as a conclusion, I do think that social entrepreneurs have an immense role in South Africa specifically, because we need entrepreneurs to become socially active, where jobs are created, inequality is lessened, poverty is lessened. And I think in return, the companies will get their ROI back. They'll get their return on investment because of what they are doing. But yeah, that's about it for me. And yeah, it was a little bit longer than I thought.
Thank you so much, Brad. That was nice. That was a mouthful with some
Yeah,
good
sorry, that
research
was a
there.
little bit long.
Yeah, that was very nice. I hear both you guys bringing in the whole idea of corporate responsibility. I want to ask the question and your views on this. So obviously, the way you speak now, Kate, you sound like a people person. Brad, you sound like a people person. There's a caring, there's a compassion, there's an upliftment vibe that I pick up from you guys. There's a social concern. My question is, does business, small and large, so obviously we can see the massive footprint that business has in communities. We can see the role that business can play as an enabler. Talking about the KFC, two rands, and that sort of thing. There's other examples. We know there's legislative and regulatory guidelines in this country in terms of social responsibility and that sort of thing. My question is this: does business in a community, small or large, have a responsibility towards members of that community, or where does that notion come from? If I go to your shop and I put down 2 rand or 10 rand and I buy a Coke and you give me the Coke, that was an equal, that was a net zero transaction. I gave you the money, you gave me the Coke. Why the notion, and I'm again devil's advocating the question, why the notion that businesses has a role, voluntarily or legislated, to give back to communities because communities support them? Wasn't there already a transactional net sum, a zero sum, where we said we did business, we gave you money, there were services, there were goods? Who came up with the idea that businesses should support communities? Brad?
So I think it's more of a how the entrepreneur is as a person. I don't think you're obligated to help your community. I mean, it's not always your community that's buying from you. If I'm operating in Benoni, I've got guys in Cape Town, Durban, Kimberley, Limpopo, they're also supporting. So I don't think you're really obligated to support your community, but I think it is a nice gesture. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I don't think you need to be firm and hard and all of this nonsense. I think you do have to have some sort of, uh, I can say, affection to the livelihood of people around you. And if you um help the people around you, they will help you. Yes, we do have the exceptions where people won't help you. They just want some free things in a way. But I think there's a good chunk of people that will help you. And I think word of mouth is a very good marketing strategy. I mean, I was actually at an expo today until about 5 o'clock, and there was a company, Addis. They do like dustbins and brooms for the nursery industry, and they had these little games that they were playing, and they were giving out free gifts to people. They were giving out like fizzes and suckers. Obviously, that's not a huge capital investment. Well, not capital investment, but a huge investment in social development. But I do think that has brought a lot of business to them. So I think
Okay.
participating, sorry.
No.
Oh,
I'm not going to interrupt you. You can
sorry.
continue.
So I think participating in these donations and in these, I don't want to say games because games kind of has a negative connotation, but participating in these performances with them, and they giving out free stuff, and they in a way donating to you as a potential client, which will then take a look at their product, have a nice time with it, and say, okay, cool, next month I want to buy this. I think it's I think it's also a huge marketing strategy. But yeah, at the end of my my rumble, but yeah, I think it can be a marketing strategy, and I think uh, entrepreneurs can have uh, what's the word? Compassion to their surrounding communities to help them.
Would you say, and Kate, I want to get your input as well. Would you say that there is something as pure uh, philanthropic actions from social entrepreneurs, or do you think it is associated with, uh, like Brad said, this is a marketing strategy, maybe disguised as a philanthropic investment? Some scholars will say that there's nothing philanthropic, that even when you do something out of the goodness of your heart or goodwill, without tangible return on that investment, and you do it for just feeling good about yourself, there's even a bit of an agenda in that. It's not my words, I'm just saying what people say. Um, so is there something like philanthropy, or is the fact that, your take, Kate, is there an obligation, legal or voluntarily, to put back into communities? Do they do it because it makes business sense? Should it be legislated and regulated? And does it make business sense to put back to communities? Yes, Kate.
Okay. I think businesses, they are not legally forced or required to give back to the business, but obviously it makes business sense, you know. You know that when you give back to the community, it benefits both the business and the company. And you spoke about the philanthropy part of it, to say that yes, some people, they are just giving for to make themselves, it's fulfilling to other people. So it's not something that is required, but at the same time, those are things which encourages things like economic growth. It reduces poverty, unemployment, and economic inequality somehow, because obviously when you give birth, when you give back, you also tend to employ those who are in the surrounding areas, and in a way it elevates poverty. So, but it's not a must. I don't think it's something that is or should be legalized. They they are doing it, and uh it's okay the way it's being done. It should be legalized. Like anybody, if they feel that they want to give back, they should give back. But we know that entrepreneurs, that's another part of being an entrepreneur, to give back to the community. Yeah, that's my take on this.
Kate, Brad, thank you for your preparation this evening. I think the one thing we can take away is that business has an absolutely wide-reaching foothold in communities. Um, and there's a growing trend to say that business is not about shareholder value alone anymore, and that businesses and smaller and bigger businesses that wants to stay in business in a sustainable way, um, stay in business for the long haul, uh, will come to the table, whether legislated or in a more organic fashion, with a genuineness and a sincerity towards communities. Um, and then business takes on a transcendent, uh, higher purpose than just doing business for the sake of the bottom line. And I think many entrepreneurs specifically are drawn to and gravitate toward this sort of setup where we say business is not just about business and a what's in it for me mentality, but there's a social aspect where we can indeed make a difference. Closing quick sentence from yourself, Brad, and then from you. Kate, let's start with you. Closing sentence, and then you,
Oh,
Brad.
I was asking a question, but I was also not asking a question with regard to this conversation that we are having. So for me, I would say that um, I like Brett's presentation, and I strongly feel that as entrepreneur, it is our duty to give back to the community either way, legalized or not. I still feel that as a person, one should have a heart, because obviously those people, they matter a lot. It can help somebody who's very, very poor, you know, like what Brett was saying, that that to rent is valuable to somebody who does not have it at all. So yeah, thank you, Doc. But I have a question after Brett's closing statement.
Okay, Kate, you do realize that you have a heart, but there are hundreds of people who are heartless. So you sound like an idealist like myself, wanting to see better things come from the world, but that's not always necessarily the case. Thank you. Yes, Brad. Closing
Yeah,
remark.
so as my closing statements. So yeah, like Kate reinforced there, I do think the social development in in large poverty and inequality, I think that's the biggest thing for social entrepreneurship for me. Um, and obviously, like you were saying, with the philanthropy of an entrepreneur, if it is philanthropy or if it is just marketing for sales. I think a lot of people say, "Oh, yeah, I want to help these guys." Like, I don't know, I really do feel it close to my heart. But deep down, they just want the money. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you are looking for ways to make money. Um, I'm not saying everyone is like that, but I can say firmly, for example, Unilever, who is a huge, huge company, they they invest millions per month in social development and training of their staff. And the training of the staff is the best thing, because you're not just giving money to people, you're not just giving donations, you're training someone into becoming something more. And I think in this country, a lot of people think that they aren't enough, and Unilever is fixing that by training. I think training is a huge, it's a huge pro in social entrepreneurship and social development as a whole. Uh, So yeah, I think helping the community is the best thing to do. And I do think it can be unnoticed, but if it's unnoticed, then it means it wasn't done for the clouds. It wasn't done for the um what's it for for the marketing of it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think some of the best work is it takes place under the radar. Thanks a
100%,
lot,
exactly that.
guys. Thanks. Tell me, did you enjoy this type of interaction in a session? Do you guys like this?
Yeah,
Very
I think
much.
that's quite lekker, yeah.
You like it? All right.
That's
So
Yeah.
we'll be doing more of that. Listen, we're gonna come in for a landing. Kate, last question from your side. Yes, you're welcome.
okay. I'm just going to ask in terms of the course itself. Do we have a textbook for this?
You do. There's a textbook which is your prescribed material. Next week, I'm gonna give you guys tips on academic writing. Please, that's a very important session. We haven't done it. So I'm gonna take you through a whole lot of tips for academic writing. We'll talk about your prescribed material and how you
Okay.
should use it and so on. But there's definitely a textbook, which should probably be available hard copy or probably soft copy as well. I don't know, Brad, have you bought the book?
Yeah, so I actually bought the soft copy and then I didn't like the way Wisebook set it up, so I bought the hard copy. So yeah, there's definitely both.
Right. So, and then of course the prescribed material is definitely not the start all and end all of your course journey. So, I will touch on this next week as well. I want you guys to incorporate your prescribed material, but you're going to work much wider than that. Does that answer your question, Kate? You're gonna get
Yes.
the name of the book in your module outline, right at the top where they talk about your prescribed book.
All right. No, thank you. And then the exam is going to be a sit-in open book or a closed book?
Normally, so COVID disrupted things a bit. It might be a pre-seen exam where it's a closed book and you sit down. It might be a take-home, I'm not sure, but we will see in due course.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Okay, folks. Take care. We
Sorry.
speak in a week's time.
Sorry, Doctor.
Yes.
I just want to find out, Cameron, obviously he wasn't able to come through.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
want to find out, are you going to make contact with him? Or how will it be done?
Yeah, I'm
Just
not
so I
gonna
can
make
communicate with him.
I'm not gonna make contact with him per se because
Okay.
what we did this evening,
Mm.
He's gonna be able to catch up on the ice mark
Okay.
per se.
Okay. Okay.
So there's
that's fine.
nothing that he can listen to this recording, obviously. So he's got access to get a idea of what we did, and he can share in the discussion. But Cameron, and obviously if you are listening to this, we will make provision for you to catch up on the ice at a later stage.
Okay, 100%. Thanks, Doctor.
Cheers, guys. Keep well.
Cheers, cheers.